All right.
Like
Doesn't
that.
feel like it's a camera. There is a camera.
Get that out?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Put that out.
There it is. Oh, wow. This feels very sophisticated.
Doesn't it? I
Here
think
we
we're
go.
being live feeded out there.
All right.
We supposed to go
there it
there?
is, baby.
Hey!
Come on. How we doing?
Hey,
What's up,
all!
what's up? What up?
Hey, hey!
What's up?
How we doing? Howdy, everybody.
My dog right there. My dog.
You said this role was most like you.
I felt like I needed to be like that because I felt like Marty, like my back was against the wall.
Let's talk about the film where Timothy and I first met, where I play his dad.
Okay, no CNN, no variety. You've seen Interstellar 1? I love that you asked that question. I did not expect you to ask that at all, man. They're gonna do it! They're gonna do it! They're gonna kiss!
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the University of Texas at Austin, Moody College of Communication, for a CNN and Variety Town Hall with myself, Matthew McConaughey, and my buddy here, Timothée Chalamet.
Sweet, thank you. Come on.
Tonight, we're going to be talking for the next hour about our careers, as well as taking questions from students here at my alma mater, where I also currently teach a film class called Script to Screen. Timothy, as you all may know, is starring in a little movie called Marty Supreme. See?
Yeah, my dog right there, my dog.
For which he also happens to be nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor. Hey,
Yeah, come on.
come on. So,
You know a little something about that.
little something, thankfully. Yeah, we're going to get to Marty Supreme in a second. But before we do, let's talk about the film where Timothy and I first met, where I play his dad. It is called Interstellar. Let's check out a clip.
Trouble safe,
You look after our place for me, all right? All right?
Uh-huh.
There we go.
Oh, man.
Where we met, bud.
What an incredible film, man. That remains my favorite project I've ever been in.
Wow.
I think it's your most fantastic role. I know you were coming off of Dallas Buyers Club, but that movie to me is really like the origin point, and seeing how you carried yourself on set, how seriously you took the work, how seriously Christopher Nolan took the work. I feel like it gave me license. I feel like coming out of high school, it's hard to take yourself super seriously. It can feel like you're wasting time or stuck up or something. And I remember you had a yoga mat on set in between takes. You'd be working out and you were sleeping on set.
Yeah.
And it was all very strange to me. And but it was super inspiring, and I just can't thank you enough for being warm to me at that time, and when you had no reason to be warm to me, and Christopher as well, and it just changed my life, man. I mean,
You're pretty easy to be warm to, and thank you for that, man. You're pretty easy to be warm to. How old were you then?
I was 17.
17
Yo-
years old. So I want you to catch me up, because I remember, and tell me if I'm remembering this correct, that you had sort of what I felt like was a feverish curiosity.
Oh yeah.
At that time. You seemed to be figuring some stuff out. But it seemed obvious to me that no matter what decision you were going to make, whatever you were dealing with, that you were going to make your way. And I believe were you in some sort of limbo? You were choosing, were you in New York and it was something about music and somebody was putting pressure about maybe go this way and you wanted to go this way?
Man, absolutely. I can't believe you even remember that. And I feel like I would have picked your brain about that, which was I was getting pulled between going to college, which is what my parents wanted for me, especially my mom, or pursuing acting right away. But no person in their right mind tells a young person, hey, drop out of school and go pursue acting, and yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you guys should drop out of school. But no, and I remember you were really just open to all those possibilities, and I was in limbo.
Yeah.
And but you talk about red lights, yellow lights, green lights, you were very comfortable, encouraging me to be at my yellow light, and figuring out where I was going to go from there.
Yeah.
But those 10 days, I worked 10 production days. You obviously worked probably 60 or 90 on that movie. For me, it was a humble 10 days, but they put me on a trajectory,
Right.
for 3 years of not working, just seeing you work those 10 days or seeing Jessica work. And it gave me the fuel I needed to keep going,
Well, it was clear then, I didn't know what you were going to, that we'd be sitting here now, this many years later, talking about your career to this point. But it was clear to me then that, whatever this young man does latch onto, he will catch it. So congratulations.
Man, thank you, Matthew.
Yeah,
And I got to say, you know, my last day on Interstellar, I was very moved. I was sad to be leaving, you know. And I went in my trailer, and I went in the bathroom, and there was a huge turd in my toilet. And I was like, I felt so disrespected because I thought, oh man, I know I'm not the star in this movie, but like, who's coming? So I went around to all the huge grips. We were in the suburbs of Canada, these big guys. I said, hey, did one of you guys, you know, let it loose in my trailer? And, like, and they said no. And I went up to Nolan on set too. I said, someone took it down my trailer. And he kind of pointed to Matthew, and I looked at Matthew. He had this devilish grin on his face, like right now, man. And I said, "Why'd you do that, man?" He said, in Texas, it's coming of age, baby." He's like, you know,
Souvenir.
a little souvenir. That's a true story, though. That's a true story.
What did you learn from Nolan?
What I learned from Nolan was shit, man. Nolan is my favorite director to this day, you know. And The Dark Knight made me want to act. Inception inspired me. When I read the script to Interstellar, I thought it was going to change the world. And when I knew you were working on, you were just coming off your Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club. It was as much I learned from him as I learned from you. It goes back to the first thing I said. You guys took the work extremely seriously. And I got a sense from you, too, that you felt like you were walking on sacred ground or something. I feel like you were in a part of your career where you're like, this is sacred now. I don't want to treat this as anything other than sacred. And it was just so inspiring. It was hard to go back to college after that.
I bet so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember, you know, one thing about Nolan was, and he's a wonderful, like a general and taskmaster, but he's the first up the hill in the morning and the last down the hill at the end of the day, every single day.
What was your experience like with him?
Look, he had written this world and these concepts and the rules of this world, time travel and how it's different places, different frequencies. So I would go to him, you know, to ask him the rules sometimes. And sometimes he'd give me an answer, and sometimes he'd go like, I don't know. Let me get back to you. And he'd always come back. Like a week later, someone goes, I thought about that question yet. You lay it out, and it would make sense. Look, I mean, the other thing I remember is that Chris will not make something simple complicated. This is a man on a film at this time that had a budget to get all the toys. But the way we shot certain scenes where I'm floating through space, I'm on a gimbal that he's holding on to the other side. And I remember going like, why wouldn't you use the big crane? He's like, no, because it's a waste of money. It's either only as good or not as good as this. This is what I learned in like independent filmmaking is still the best way to get this shot. And he would always keep it simple when you needed to keep it simple.
What's one of my favorite parts of the movie? I told you this on the phone the other day. It's also, I think Matthew does an amazing job of this in The Lost Bus, which came out this year too. But as much as I'm impressed by actors that are truthful in very grounded circumstances, I can say Dallas Buyers Club is an example of that, like in very arduous, intense circumstances. I'm almost more impressed by a technical level of execution like you do in Interstellar or The Lost Bus, where you're communicating what's happening on screen for the audience, a vehicle in space, and locating that geographically for us as an audience. Because that is hard to do, man. I'm so impressed when I see actors do that, or Tom Cruise when he does stunts, and it's beyond me. Like I said, I have like a theater background, so things that are, you know, emotional fireworks on screen, that comes to me first and foremost.
Right.
You know, I can relate to that the most. But like I said, in The Lost Bus this year, in Interstellar, especially because I watched Interstellar again the other day, I mean, it feels so real, but you're communicating on screen, you know. And now I found out Nolan's shaking you on a gimbal or something.
Yeah.
But
we're going to get to a film where you do a lot of internal work like that coming up later, Dune.
Yeah,
we'll talk about.
And we're going to get to that, but hugely inspired by you on Interstellar, the times on Dune where I felt like, okay, how do I ground this for myself? Or in a spaceship, you know, I remember on the first Dune, we had a space, you know, a ornithopter sequence. I can't say too much about the third one, but that I got a chance to do again in the third, but this time I was way more geared up. I feel like I knew, geared up in a preparation sense. not whatever. You know, the young kids use gear or whatever. But maybe CNN, you cut that shit right there. Okay. But
yeah, a couple cups of coffee.
But no, man, I would look at your level of preparation for that, for the USS Endurance stuff, and be deeply, deeply inspired, you know, about how to come in prepared. I'll say on Dune 3, I know I'm jumping all around here, you know, it's a sci-fi control panel, whatever, but as opposed to the first movie, this time on the third one, I came out early and I studied the control panel. That's all sorts of hieroglyphics and things that aren't tethered to reality, and I wanted to know what each button did.
Yes.
Would, you know, invent a, you know, dynamic for myself with it.
And that's our job, I think.
Oh yeah, bring
You
things
know?
to life.
To go in and whether it's on screen or not, and whether the scene's not about you knowing everything on the panel, just the way we move to have an idea. Oh, I understand what that is,
That
and the way we
or that confidence. I remember coming to set
Yeah.
on Interstellar and you saying to me, "How does that tractor work over there?" I didn't have the answer. Do you remember this?
No.
Okay, I came to set, and I think maybe you could see I was kind of aimless but motivated. And you said, how does that tractor work over there? And I had no clue. And you said, you should know. You know, if you were on this farm, you would know. I thought you were half joking, so I think I kind of cracked a laugh. And you said, no, you should really know. I went home that night to the hotel I was staying, and I printed a bunch of research. I knocked on your trailer door. I was proud to show it, No, and that stuff, that means a lot, man. As an actor, all you risk is looking foolish, because it's a tremendously foolish job. If you can embrace that, and then you throw that out the window, nothing can stop you. Then you're on a powerful light source, man. I feel like that when if you can embrace that foolishness, if you can embrace the clown and all this, really nobody can stop you. Nobody can say anything to you.
You're saying a really important thing, man, to everybody here, especially y'all here in this at the college level. This is take more risk. It's not about in the creative arts. It's not about being right.
No.
Don't if you're being right too often, you're not taking enough risk. Don't be afraid of that, the foolishness, or don't be afraid of going, man, I have no idea. Should I know about that?
Right.
Oh, didn't know I should know about that. People that will give you that advice maybe or go, yeah, you should. They're so happy to. They will be.
I always said that beware of the people in life that get more out of the advice they give you than you get out of the advice they're giving you.
Yeah.
Point being, people like they not only are they thrilled to give you advice, they're thrilled by the act of giving you advice. I'm not talking about what I've gone through recently, but I do remember at 18, 19, 20 as someone that, and all of a sudden you can't even listen to what they're saying anymore because you feel like they're flexing on you so hard or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, you never did that to me though, which I'm grateful for, man.
Not.
Yeah, no, man, and I had an actor do that to me once, no names, but a guy was a punk, man. This guy said to me, okay, I gotta really make this story anonymous, but where he was like, he asked me what conservatory I had gone to, and I said I didn't go to an acting conservatory. And he said, "We haven't trained as an actor then, We were all a part of an ensemble. Man, this story is useless to tell, but it was like...
Tell it.
No, I mean, that was basically...
Oh, you're talking about... Just kidding.
So let's talk about this scene in Interstellar. This is probably my favorite, quote-unquote, acting scene in the movie. I did a Q&A with Christopher Nolan the other day. He said this scene on the page pulled him into the script, which was a scene where Cooper, the main character in the movie, played beautifully by herself, gets a series of messages over years from his children. And Nolan said it pulled him in because it was as much a sci-fi concept as it was a grounded human concept. I remember my first semester at Columbia University, you left me a voicemail the afternoon after you did the scene saying you had watched the actual clips that Mackenzie and I, or Jessica and I rather, had sent you. So we're going to get into it in a second. Tell me what you remember about this day. I've read from stories online that you said to Chris, hey, I'm coming in. I want you to start with a close-up, which is untraditional, and that he acquiesced, basically. And to me, this is the ultimate, just the ultimate acting in this kind of movie, man. And I'll just say one more thing. People look at, like, if you want to look at if you want to look at acting like the Olympics, you look at a scene like this. You know what I mean? Where this water works, and it's from the heart, but I think when you do it, it's from the gut, man. I don't know what you were channeling, if you were channeling, your kids, yourself. But anyway, so tell me about what you.
So I remember the day. It was a Monday. And it was going to be the first shot up on a Monday. So I'm coming off a weekend, and for these, because our biggest enemy is tension, right? So especially if you're going to have to react and just get rid of tension. I came in, relaxed. Not much preparing for a scene like this besides relax and come in. I remember showing up on set, and I sat down, and Chris said, okay, let's rehearse this. And I remember put my hand up. And I'm not looking anybody in the eye at this point. I haven't looked anyone in the eye. I'm kind of in my own world, my own monologue. Put my hand up, and I go, can we, I may have written it down on a piece of paper, see you first, please. And whatever, can we first, next thing you know, yep, we're going to do those first. And that take, I think, is what happens on the first one, because I've got this theory that look, everything after take one is acting. Like first take, if you can completely be relaxed and just react to what you are dealing with, it's the first time. It's like documentary performances. They're not performances. They're actually getting caught doing something for the first time,
Right.
which I don't think you can prove acting from that. So I didn't want to see y'all do your messages. I wanted to see it. And what was in my mind is, geez, what if that was my own kid? That's where I was going into it. And so I believe this is the first take.
Wow. So here's a clip from Interstellar with Matthew S. Cooper seeing clips from his children.
I met another girl, Dad. I really think this is the one. Her name's Lois. That's her right there.
Yeah.
Man,
You know
wow.
what? I remember that. All that. I was so happy and joyful to hear what my kids were up to. And the ironic thing is that you couldn't be there. And I think most of the time for me, if I ever am getting emotional, it comes from a joy of something. And then I was so happy to see you talk, my son talk, to share something, and then realize, oh my gosh, I wasn't there for it. And what if that was the case, if you couldn't be there?
You just unlocked that scene for me, man, because I think the joyousness is what throws it off in a good way, because it's not just a guy who's having a meltdown. I mean, it's what you just said. You know, there's a joy in seeing, and seeing your kids' faces again.
Yeah, and hearing their stories. That was fun and special.
I got this theory too. I know we got to go on another subject. I got a theory too that I said this to Nolan the other day when I saw him, but I feel like he was coming off Inception and Dark Knight Rises and Dark Knight, and you were coming off of Dallas Buyers Club, and I feel like culturally people weren't awaiting both of you to hit it so hard out the park, because I don't know how old everyone was here when that came out, but it was like I was trying to dance around this with Nolan. He said, "You're being very polite." But he's like, "I know what you're trying to say," which is it was like a frostier reception. It was still an amazing reception. And the movie.
But the 10-year anniversary,
and
exactly. For a lot of y'all, was the introduction.
Yeah, and have you felt the film grow?
100%.
Oh yeah.
It's probably right now. It is right now the movie that I most get approached about.
Wow.
For sure. And the common thing is, I've seen it 4 times, or I've seen it 12 times, or I've seen it 20 times. The minimum number I've heard anyone say they've seen it is 4.
I've legitimately maybe seen it 22 times or something. I saw it 12 times in theaters when it came out.
His girlfriend set him up a screening of Interstellar for his birthday.
This is true, man. This is true. For my last birthday. And I was grumpy on the way there because I didn't know where she was taking me. I said, "It's my birthday. Why are we driving 30 minutes outside of LA?" I got to the theater. It was Interstellar in IMAX. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm sorry. I was so grumpy on the drive. But I'm not going to bring that up, man. But listen, man, I love that movie, man. And I just hope, I don't know, I'm seeing so many young faces here. I hope it resonates for you guys too, because I just love that movie, man. And I'm the only person that gets sad every time Casey Affleck comes on screen, because that's when I'm out the movie.
Yeah.
But I got a good friend named Ryan. He's a Texas boy. And he says, Interstellar falls off at minute 37.
He's a good friend.
He's a good friend, man. Texas
good
boy.
Friend.
SMU boy. Boo.
Hey.
Okay. Anyway.
Hey, let's take an audience question.
All right.
Yeah, sir.
Hi, my name's Ethan Xavier, and I'm a sophomore here at UT Austin studying radio, television, and film. And my question is for you, Timothy.
Cool.
What instinct do you trust most when choosing a role, and when has listening to that instinct surprised or scared you?
The instinct is to work with great directors first and foremost, because I feel like you learn very quickly if you're trying to do a great performance but you don't have somebody wrangling it in a good way. I'm sure you've had this experience too. It doesn't come to fruition. I would say the riskiest thing was Wonka, where I followed my instinct to do that. And now you're getting ethered. No, I'm kidding. But for Wonka, because I feel like it was an untraditional career step in that I had done serious movies already, and I think people sort of, like, even when the trailer came out, on its face took it as like a family movie or something. But that director, Paul King, if anyone here has seen Paddington or Paddington 2, which those are like tremendous movies to me. And to this day, on the Interstellar point, I feel like that movie didn't get its fair shake.
Wonka.
Yeah. Even though it was financially successful, which sounds like a flex, and probably is, but it felt like there were codes of coolness and culture that I, you know, and I honestly thought it was kind of punk rock to do something that wasn't, you know, so cool about, you know, drugs or something. But I don't think people really took it that way. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I got some, you know, got some free chocolate out of it. So, you know.
Well, speaking of punk rock, let's check out a clip from Marty Supreme. This is the purpose scene where you share the burden of purpose with Rachel.
Cool.
Okay, in case you forgot, I have a week to make $1,500, not including airfare. I need to focus right now. No distractions.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. And it goes without saying, I'm in no position to settle down right now. Get that out of your mind. I will not settle down right now.
Wowza. Hey, hey.
Hey. Okay.
Hey. How long did that clip last? A minute? That's a lot. And however short a time that is.
Yeah.
You covered a lot of ground there, sir.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? That scene made me want to do the movie, man. That's where I feel like I connected with the spirit of Marty the most.
Yeah.
Not in the way that he's antagonizing the woman in his life there and being, you know, treacherous towards Rachel that Odessa plays beautifully. But I just loved that speech on the page, "Green light, baby." Like I feel.
And it's your monologue. That's your one of your not your monologue. What I'm saying is not literally your monologue. A scene that you go, this is the DNA of my guy, right? Seeing it from the inside out.
Exactly.
You expand that scene, you can write an encyclopedia on that character.
Exactly. And I just thought it was so unusual for, I'd never been approached to do a role like that. Any part of me that ever did a fashion commercial or perfume commercial or whatever, this role, it was the exact opposite. You know, he wanted nothing that was like, you know, I love Little Women, I love Lori and Little Women, but he wanted the exact opposite, you know, and what I love there is, and I'm sure you can relate to this, but when you have no backstop in life, when you're your only person that's rooting for you, that I can relate to less now because I have people that are rooting for me, not people. But when it's only you, that does something to a person. And you could say that people that are individualistic in life, whatever, they're big dreamers or they have freedom, but they're not. Their fate has been taken hostage by their dream, and they're victim to it, you know?
Okay.
And I loved that sense. I felt like that when I was your guys' age. I still feel like that to a degree. I feel like that to the degree where I'm like, shit, I'm on a roll. I gotta see this through, you know? And anyway.
Yeah, man.
That's the end of that thought.
That self-reliance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to paint your own self in a corner and put yourself on it, it helps for us to become obsessed with things.
Oh, yeah.
In that way.
Oh, yeah.
And I think obsession is it's hard, but I think it's a necessary thing to do and create art.
Absolutely.
That translates.
And I just like how table tennis or ping pong is the silly maybe metaphor for the movie. But even time spent alone, I've learned that later in life now. Like, and I knew that of you by reading your book and just knowing you in real life too. But sometimes you got to take a month or a week or whatever.
Reservations for one are necessary sometimes.
Exactly. I don't have a pickup truck or anything, but you know, when I go on my solitary adventure, I got 3 guys in the car behind me that are making sure I'm not going to get killed. No, I'm kidding.
Hey,
no.
So, and I met him today briefly in the car, but
Yeah.
you developed this with Josh
Yes.
Safdie. Why'd you get into develop it with him?
He's the first person I ever worked with that I felt like I had was brethren. You know, I felt like this with Greta Gerwig too. You know, where we had a cultural sensibility that was the same. But Josh and I can exchange memes. You know what I mean? And you know, Denis Villeneuve, Christopher Nolan, I'm not sending him like shitbag memes or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like and Josh, I can. In fact, Josh will send me weird shit, man. You know, Josh, I don't even know. I shouldn't even tell the story. Josh sent me a meme on the set of Dune 2 that I showed Denis, whose face went white, basically. And he approached me later. He's like, "You're not showing this to everyone, right?" I said, "No, I showed it to you, man. Like, you know."
So Josh is the kind of guy that'll leave a deuce in your trailer.
Josh was worse than that. He would like force himself to throw up in your toilet or something. Like, why'd you force yourself? What kind of point? What point were you making by doing that? He's gonna kill me for saying that. But no, I mean, I loved working with Josh, you know, and he's a fire breather, you know, and he's very suspicious of everything you said before of doing it the right way. He's really suspicious of that, you know. And I feel like I'm glad Marty Supreme got the success it did because I'm sure you guys have seen Uncut Gems and Good Time, right? Hopefully, if we're in a School of Communication. But I feel like Marty Supreme kind of gave Josh his due. You know, we had this Oscar luncheon the other day. They called his name up. I felt like a proud father or whatever.
on.
You know, I was tearing up. Same thing with Elle Fanning, and I was just tearing up. It was very moving. You know, it's a lot of production quality to be so moved by something.
Yeah.
It felt really organic to me. But anyway, so
You said this role was most like you,
yeah.
Timothy. Why you say that?
Because it was the drive, and it was, you know, I don't know what it's like being from Austin, but when you're from New York and you grow up in a box, your personality is all you have. Your personality is your armor. And I could really relate to that. Also, I was smaller than everyone growing up. I'm still smaller than everyone. And so you weaponize that. You know, I was like a crazy kid on the subway growing up. I'd be singing the French national anthem to impress the girls that were twice my size on the subway. You know what I mean? And someone loved that over there. No, you can relate to that. You know that little kid that was doing that. But and Marty is that guy. I love the life of impairment with the glasses and the bad skin and stuff, because he's like, it's all attitude, man. It's, I don't give a fuck. I'm the best table tennis player in the world. You can't take shit from me. Yeah, you might have more money than me. Yeah. Kevin O'Leary's character might have more money or more power, but when it comes to that fucking table tennis table and that paddle and that little orange ball, I'm the king, man.
Heard.
And you know, it's what, like, I was on Interstellar, man. I'm like living at my mom's place in New York, and I come to set, and I see you, and I see Nolan and Hathaway. I see the SUVs, and I'm arriving in the van, and I'm like, I want to be in the SUV, man. I'm arriving in the cast van, you know, and by some miracle, it's going well, and that's why, dude, it is moving to be here with you, because I'm fucking stoked, man.
It's not. And it's not just miracle. What you guys are seeing and what we see on screen. I want to bring this up. I wrote this about you. You tell me if I'm reading your mail.
Okay.
All right? I see you right now as an artist with a perpetual artistic energy. Unrested. Unrest, ambition, obsession. The center of attention and exceptional ambiance at the same time. The young man blazing an original path without asking permission. An outlaw on the fringes and in the slipstream, fearlessly choosing creative damage in the recreation of the humanities on screen. Your way.
Whew.
Is that fair?
Man, yeah, I can't say it better than that. Oh, man, I can't say it better than that.
But you're not asking permission.
That's what you said to me on the phone a year ago when we talked. And it was strange to me. It was strange to me. We caught up briefly, and you said, it feels like you're not asking for permission. Is that correct? I said, yeah. It was just such a strange framing. I don't know how else to say it. But I feel like that's exactly where I am, Matthew. You know, I know 30 is young still, but I feel like I had a quarter, midlife, whatever.
Yeah.
And feeling like, wait a second, I'm in the pocket. So if I'm in the pocket, I want to keep pushing it with everything. With, you know, people said it was like promo, but it's not promo. It's a creative extension of the movie, you know. And I'm restless, and I'm hungry, and I'm in the pocket, man. Like, people say I have like an athletic approach to this stuff. Okay, but I am inspired by Jordan. I'm inspired by Kobe, and I'm inspired by, you know what I mean? Too few people have just taken what they're doing seriously. So I'm right there, man. We should hang out more, Matthew.
Hey,
come on, man.
We're doing it.
We should hang out more, baby.
In that spot, though, where you, like you said, oh, it's a miracle, and I know you're not a falsely humble guy, but how much do you think you're being called and on this path and you're on it, and how much are you got your hands on the wheel? You're driving it, man.
Man, thank God, man. No one's framed any questions like this to me, man. I'm so grateful you're asking things like this. I feel like I'm right in the driver's seat, man, because I feel like as actors, you know, you get told what to say, or pushed words, or what projects to do, and then especially in this day and age in social media, you get trashed online. So every incentive is to move in fear. You know, not to sound like some pathetic self-help guru, but that's the kind of stuff that works sometimes too, you know? And I don't want to move in fear. I want to move in confidence and joy. Joy in the position I'm in. Come on, this is rare stuff.
Yep.
And even to book Interstellar was rare, to have the career now. So I'm moving in gratitude and deep gratitude. You know, I want to leave it behind for someone else. Even with the promo stuff, if I can push the line, someone here, when they're promoting their thing, is going to be able to push it even more, you know? And I'm learning too, part of the trick of the trade is you're gonna push people's bounds a little bit. We work in a really institutionalized industry. It's not like music. You could be 20 years old and make a fire record out of your, you know, bedroom. Here, you gotta have gatekeepers, you gotta get your project financed, you gotta audition, you do whatever. So it's institutionalized, and people can get a little uncomfortable if you're pushing against them. I feel like that's my job, man. That sounds like some delusional grandeur, divine purpose thing, but I do. I feel like that's what I'm here. I'm like, no, I'm gonna push the edge, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your gratitude has fangs.
Ooh,
Thank you.
I like that too, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. No, I
No, it
appreciate
does. It does. Yeah. Let's take another question from the audience. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Emily Martin. I'm a freshman studying radio, television, and film here. My question is for you, Timothy. In Marty Supreme, your character neglects the relationships in his life in the pursuit of excellence. How do you balance your personal relationships while engaging with several demanding projects?
That's a great question. First of all, I'm incredibly lucky with the family and support system I've had from the beginning, and I know how lucky I am because I talk to peers of mine where they haven't had the same support system, where it's more the cliches of, hey, this person wants something out of you, or sometimes in a really dark way, in a financial way or whatever, or, you know, it can be hard to get those dynamics. I'm so grateful. Now she got ether too. Be gone! No. No, man, I've just been really lucky, you know. My parents, like, pathologically don't expect anything out of me. To a fault, maybe. I feel like some things I was too late to spring to, you know what I mean, as far as ways I could have stepped up, you know. And otherwise, my friends, it's a balancing act, though. It's definitely a balancing act. I want, you know, increasingly, I want all my friends to win so we can all relate to each other a little bit more. It's dark. But,
I hear you.
But, no, it's a balancing act. I've been so lucky, you know, and in personal relationship now and love and life, you know, I've just been really lucky, man. And I've learned as I've gotten older to give it back, you know, because I was more like Marty in the beginning of life. I was like, give me all the love and support so I can do my thing. I was like a sponge for that. But I felt like I needed to be like that because I felt like Marty, like my back was against the wall and like, you know, if I'm the only person believing in me, this is it. But now, as I've gotten older, also you come across people in LA or whatever. I went to dinner the other night with someone, a really good friend of mine, and someone we both kind of looked up to. You won't be able to figure that out online. There's no way you're gonna be able to sleuth that out. It's somebody I've never been associated with online. But he didn't ask us anything about ourselves the whole dinner. You know what I mean? And it was a letdown because, and I was fearful of ending up like that. You know, going out to dinner with two guys that revere you. You know, just anything. Ask us anything. You know. How are you? That's kind of a minutia detail, but so yeah, that answers it sort of. But this is great, man. This is fucking awesome. These are real questions. This is the diagnosis scene from Dallas Buyers Club, which Matthew notably won the Oscar for. And when we get into this, I'm gonna ask you some questions right after.
No, I can't do shit. You speak fucking English, motherfucker. Call me a motherfucking faggot. I'll whip your fucking ass, boy.
Shit, I'm glad to see you laughing. That makes it feel good, man. That makes it way less awkward to ask questions about that.
You know, I remember I observed some of these people. I think it was, what are we in? Are we early 80s when HIV came about? To say or insinuate that you had HIV, those were fighting words.
Right.
You call me, like I said, you call me a faggot. It's like, it was, and I saw and heard people talk and defend like, let's take it outside, motherfucker. I'll whip your ass. Don't you? It was like, and you see the fear, but yet the standing up and how. And at that time, it was that was. And I remember there was somebody I had in mind. I won't say who they are, but there was someone I had in mind that was from a memory. I think back to 1980. And how they reacted to a situation like that. It wasn't about them having
something you saw in person, or
yeah. Then I remember that was very Ron Woodruff at that time. Yeah.
So to that point, did you feel like you leaned into the heaviness of the subject matter to find your way in, or did you try to find the light?
No, I leaned into, you know, Ron Woodruff was a businessman, man. He's a real trying to make it as a business. He was not the guy who showed up with the white flag and said, "Everyone march after me. We're going to Washington. We need to get allowed our HIV drugs." He was an outlaw. I'm going to Mexico. I'm surviving as I can. And through doing that, you hear his relationship with Rayon, wonderfully played by Jared Leto. I mean, he's a hardcore business guy who's doing what he can to survive and looking out for his own ass. And along the way in doing that, he sees he's kind of leading for a lot of people at that time. So I just leaned into that to keep me out of any sentimentality.
Right.
You know, because very easy in a movie like this to go sentimental.
Absolutely.
and to have the minor piano chord drop.
Well, you can inadvertently think you're in the pocket when you're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can be right. That's a version of it. But one of the beautiful things about this script is it never got soft or sentimental in ways. It was tragic and sad and dramatic, but it never played to those.
And tell me, so 10 years later now, when you look at the physical requirements of that role, and you were kind of coming off it on Interstellar too.
Yeah.
I remember that because I remember you telling me you got a massage and that you were still like, going a lot. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no, but
I said what?
No, I remember I remember on Interstellar, I was saying, hey, what'd you do this weekend? You said, I got a massage, and you said, but I had to get up and shit like 3 times during it because you said I was coming off some Dallas
Shit
Buyers
jokes are all over this.
Yeah. No, but tell me, 10 years later now, would you do something like that again with that physical requirement on your body, or is that something you think?
Yeah, if it's the right role. I mean, look, people always bring that up.
It's tough on your body.
It is, but I don't think it's as tough as people think it is.
Okay.
I lost 47 pounds. That was not hard to do because I just got regimented, got obsessed. This is what I have to do. If I show up in a scene not looking like I have HIV, if I showed up looking like I do now, people in the first frame are going to go, bullshit. That's embarrassing. I didn't do my job. I fumbled the ball. It's your job requirement. So to do that, I gave myself 5 months to do it and lost the weight, and then was just regiment about it. Camilla was taking care of my meals. I didn't go to the pizza joint and walk down the line and go, I'll just have a salad. No, I was pretty hermetical. I stayed inside and had my own meals, but just became very regimented about it. And I will tell you this, the power that I lost in my body sublimated equally to my brain. My brain, I could remember clinical memory, like expounded threefold than what it was prior. So yeah, if it's a good enough role, which that really was and felt like it, and working with, like I said, Jared and Jennifer and Jean-Marc was, we made that in 25 days.
Wow, holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you'd be up for it again?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like this little, just gymnastics.
What if it was to put on 75 pounds?
Well, I put on
I know, right after.
another 40 on gold and got 223. I could have swam through the canals naked in Amsterdam and not even got a cold. I was like the abominable snowman.
What'd you like better?
Well, it was a whole lot more fun at 223.
Why?
And my family sure thinks so as well because
What'd your
I
wife
was
like
a
better?
consumer. Oh, 223, bro.
She liked that.
Oh, I had a lot of energy.
Shit.
223, I was like, y'all want another pizza for breakfast? Yes. Milkshakes again? Yeah, I was consuming. Yes is the answer to anything more fun.
Okay.
Yes, 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 yes. Anytime's a good time for more yes.
Shit.
That was I think that would be my family's favorite character I played because
Really?
I was an infinite yes, more please.
A glutton.
Yes.
Through and through.
And I gave myself license to go be a glutton for 3.5 months.
Wow.
And when you wake up and look in the mirror on Monday morning, after you've gained another 4 pounds from all the fried chicken you ate that weekend,
Holy shit.
look at yourself and go, great job, buddy.
That's good, man. How'd you lose it after?
Kind of still am.
Okay. All right. So,
No,
10
you
years
get a few things happen
Yeah.
that you're going, it's a year later, why is that still hanging around?
Okay.
But like Dallas, you lose all the insulation on your joints and stuff, and you kind of feel a little arthritic. But anyway, I think it was just like gymnastics for the body.
Wow.
Yeah. We got another question?
Hi, my name is Jacob Gonzalez. I'm a senior here studying RTF, radio, television, and film. And my question is for both of y'all. So, Timothée, Matthew, which one of y'all has the weirder daily routine?
The weirder daily routine?
Yeah.
Oh, this guy for sure, I'm sure.
Okay. I don't even need to know his, and I'll say guilty, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He says, I always smell good.
He does. He smells amazing. You know what's funny? I saw a clip of Matthew and Austin Butler online a couple years ago, or like a year ago. Anybody else see this clip? Anybody see this? You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Matthew and Austin, both are beautiful, these beautiful men. I've never said this to you. But like, and Matthew and Austin could talk to you like 2 inches closer than you're normally used to someone talking to you. But they both do it. So I'm watching this clip, man, and it's like, I saw Matthew get closer to Austin, I saw Austin get closer to Matthew, and then Matthew get closer to Austin, and Austin I was like, they're gonna do it! They're gonna do it! They're gonna kiss! But I love seeing that, man, because I don't have that instinct. That's like, he's got that alpha thing, I don't have that. If I came up to you right now and I was talking to you 3 inches from you, like, yo, get the fuck away. And you'd be able to go like that. You can't do that. Oh, man, I love that clip.
I've not seen this clip.
You know what I'm talking about.
There you go. Next question.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Channing Grace. I'm a freshman acting major here at UT. And my question is for you, Matthew. What co-star of yours do you think you learned the most from throughout your whole career? And like, what is it that you learned?
Wow. I remember on Contact, Jodie Foster. I was learning at that time what preparation means. And so I was starting, I hadn't really done preparation before. I was learning how to break down scripts and make choices and make and creative choices, affirmative ones forward for my character, my man, and also starting to learn how if you get in trouble, here's how to kind of get back out. And in doing so, she brought up the scene. She was like, yeah, you know, it's like choreography. He goes, but you have to watch it because there's some great actors who don't choreograph enough, don't make choices, but there's also ones that over-choreograph, and you can see the choreography. And if you see the choreography, we're not doing a good job of acting. So, like an athlete, these things, the choices that we don't want to see our work up there. Biggest compliment I think an actor can be given is after every film, people go, "Oh, that's you. That's you." Yeah, it was. And no matter how different they all are, because you didn't see the work. Just kind of look so easy. Thank you. Took a lot to do the work, but the work shouldn't look hard on screen. You don't want to see the work. You don't want to see the choreography. You don't want to see the choices. You do that extremely well.
Thank you, man.
Right? I don't see you making any of the, and I know how many choices you made. I don't know, but I know you made a lot. But I don't see them.
Like what you said, if someone says that was you and you go, yeah, it was. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm taking that with me. We're going to tap in now with a great clip from the golden age defining TV show, True Detective. This is the Fate of All Life scene.
And you can't remember your lives. You can't change your lives. And that is the terrible and secret fate of all life.
Wow, that's amazing, man. I love True
I'm laughing
Detective,
because
man.
when you cut to the detectives, and I'm sitting there putting myself in their shoes, and I'm over there going like, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
Exactly. That's how I got that sense pierced through this time. Tell me about that, man. Was that a no-brainer to do? That was also at a time when people were a little more bougie about.
You weren't going over to do TV if you'd been successful.
I think you broke down those barriers though. But at the time, those things were thick. Yeah.
Yeah. So that script comes along. I'm turning the pages, and I cannot wait to see what comes out of this character, Rustin Cole's mouth. Every single page. It was just hot shit. And the identity was so clear. I then go, oh, well, there's that question. It's on TV. What are you doing going to TV? I remember calling my agent, Jim Toth, and I was like, let's raise this question, something we should raise. And he goes, all right, why do you go after all? I go, man, I want a great role, and it being a great story. I want a great character, I want to be in a great story. And he goes, you hear what you said? I said, yep, and I didn't say a damn thing about what size screen it's on. Let's go. And we made the decision in 12 seconds. So we do it. It worked. I missed that series. I miss it today. I miss watching. Yeah. I really enjoyed watching. We watched. Camilla and I didn't watch. I had everything early, but I didn't watch it all through. I watched it like everyone else every Sunday night.
Awesome.
And so I would have the same water cooler talk as anyone else was having on Monday morning because I didn't remember where the episode edits were and everything. But one of the beautiful things, and I'd like to discuss this with you, is so 8 episodes or however many episodes it was, you get a really lengthy first act, like 3 episodes of a first act. Where in a film script, you get, if it's a 120-page script, you get 35 pages for first act. Right? The actor's favorite part is the first act. Because that's the place where if all the stories have been told, then there's only the first 35 pages are where we get to go, yeah, you may have been on this show, but you've never been through it with me.
Wow, I've never looked at it like that.
This is where I get to introduce you to a new person going through this before the conflict comes and we're off on the story. So in this, I get a freaking 150-page first act to indulge in and sit there and simmer and just try and keep the lid on before Rusting Coal goes off. And I had learned a lot of patience because I actually, a month into this, I was going like, I think what I'm doing is could be really boring. And I was like, no, just hold on. There's a time, it's coming up. And I learned patience in that. But first acts, you've never thought of it like that?
No, I love that.
It's our first place to go, yeah, you may have been in this story. Or as it gets going, you may go, oh, I see what this is, but you've never been through it with me.
I love that.
That's where we get to establish that.
I've never looked at that as the most engrossing part of a script, but as I think about Marty,
for actors,
that makes sense. Well, it's you're setting the tone. That's not saying it perfectly, but your thumbprints all over it.
Yeah.
And do you ever go back and watch that, True Detective, or no? Have you watched the? Maybe I shouldn't ask you that.
No, I've watched it that one time. I've never watched it again. I've never seen anything I've done twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? No way. Come on. You seen Interstellar once? No, come on, man.
No, that's it.
Okay, no CNN, no Variety. You've seen Interstellar once?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No way, man.
Yeah.
You're doing yourself a disservice, man.
Maybe so. I'm a little uncomfortable going back, and I must say, now that I do have children, when we flip through or any of my films get brought up as possible things for us to watch, my kids go, yeah, let's do that one next week. So my kids haven't seen 95% of the stuff I've done.
Really?
The moment that one day they look back and go, hey, Pop wasn't half bad at that. But they haven't seen hardly any. They like to skip that.
I don't know if I believe but if you
that I've only seen them once.
Interstellar once?
Yeah.
No way, man.
Well, you've seen it 20
I know,
times.
but it's just I can't believe that. I can't believe that. I'm guessing you actually have seen it 4 or 5 times. Okay.
I mean, if I did, I'm really not trying to hide it. I'm not that comfortable. I don't know. I'm not that comfortable. It's a workout for me, seeing movies that I've done. Meaning each frame, something in my head goes back to the day and the preparation for the day and all the intricacies that one scene that we just saw in 90 seconds took 2 days.
Right, that's true.
And I'm like, whoa, yeah,
Right.
It's a workout for me still. Act 1, though.
Okay.
In this day of shorter attention spans and vertical 12-second spots, are we losing attention and patience for Act 1s? Because it's the first thing that gets cut. It's the first thing that a studio wants to get. I'm seeing Act 2 more and more start on frickin' page 12. I'm seeing 10-part series that, bam, Act 1's over 32 minutes into the opening episode, and you're off on the conflict right away. And I'm going, it feels abbreviated to me. Am I feeling something?
I think you are, but I think I've observed like a duo phenomena where the majority of stuff is getting pushed in that direction. I think I saw an article about a Netflix sort of production guideline, not for all movies, I don't want to speak disparagingly, but where they want their biggest action set pieces up front. The logic used to be you save your big action set piece for the end of a movie and you save the fireworks for the end, but now they want something up front. I also think there's sort of a reverse thing going on too now. I don't want to speak for people that are younger than me, where people are desiring things that are more patient and that pull you in. I just saw another article that says Gen Z is a bigger movie-going audience than the millennial audience, you know? I feel like a fucking grandpa saying that. And, no, but point being, I think even like Frankenstein, which was like a hugely popular movie this year, I didn't think that pacing was extraordinarily fast or anything, but it pulled people in, you know? But it does take you having to wave a flag of, hey, this is a serious movie or something. And some people want to be entertained and quickly. I'm really right in the middle, Matthew, because I admire people, and I've done it myself, to go on a talk show and go, hey, we got to keep movie theaters alive. You know, we got to keep this genre alive. And another part of me feels like if people want to see it, like Barbie, like Oppenheimer, they're going to go see it and go out of their way to be loud and proud about it. And I don't want to be working in ballet or opera or, you know, things where it's like, hey, keep this thing alive, even though no one cares about this anymore. All respect to the ballet and opera people out there. I just lost 14 cents in viewership. But, damn, I just took shots for no reason.
That's not a shot. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. So,
sorry.
But on that note,
yeah,
you, Timothée Chalamet, are like a quad threat in multimedia right now. We didn't get to it earlier, but on the Marty Supreme, look at what you're doing with the marketing of this thing. You're disrupting things. You're ahead of. You're going and smash cutting into new ideas, and before anyone can go, wait, is that you're on to the next? You're doing fashion ads. Mm-hmm. You're using smaller media, and you're not exclusive to Friday night when I buy the ticket to go to the theater. It's the only time I can spend time with Timothée Chalamet. That's new, and you're doing it at a high level.
I love that you bring that up because I think that is of the past, man. Like that's just my belief, you know. Who the fuck is popular enough to go, hey, you're only gonna see me? It's not even popular. It's not even the right word. It's like, you know. And once more, you look at Barbie or Oppenheimer, those things were kind of game-changing. I feel like they just pull people in a really engaging way. And I love that you say that, man. I don't even want to speak too much about it because I think it kills my my mojo a little bit. So
heard. Cool. Okay. Heard.
I'm not being defensive.
No. Don't say it. We had that happen earlier today. It was like it was all working fine until you spoke it out loud. It's like it happens to us on set all the time. To all future directors out there, if you're directing somebody and things are going well, shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
And just let it go. Because if you name it, hey, I see what you're doing. You're doing that. You go, don't call it out, dude. It was a magic trick before you spelled it.
Yeah.
Let it be a magic trick.
No, that didn't happen to Matthew and I. We're not trying to call anyone out. We walked to the room. He's had his arm around me, my movie dad, Cooper, whatever. And then we wanted to do pictures. The guy said, all right, just be chummy and friendly with each other. And then we got real awkward, you know? I was like, fuck, we were just doing it, man. Why'd you say it? All of a sudden, my hands got sweaty, you know.
But we pulled it off, we think.
We pulled it. No, he was amazing. Matthew kept kicking his leg out going, Shah. I was like, what is that, man?
I don't know.
That was amazing. I'm going home with that.
Let's take another question from the audience.
All right.
Hi, my name is Quentin Chu, and I'm a freshman studying radio, television, and film here at UT. This is a question for Timothée. I saw your interview with Cody Rhodes, and I heard a lot about your love for professional wrestling. And I'm a big fan of wrestling myself, and I was wondering if that has sort of influenced the way that you approach acting or the way that you approach telling stories.
Man, hugely. I love that question. Nolan, do not let him be ethered. I want to speak straight to him. No, I love that question. Professional wrestling for me was sort of a guidepost growing up because I wanted to be an athlete. I just didn't have the skill, the body, the physique, the speed. And acting was sort of, I grew up in an actor's building, whatever, and it wasn't my dream at its core. It just wasn't for whatever reason. WWE and professional wrestling was somewhere in the middle. It was like the titans of athletes, both men and women, but with this showmanship and storytelling. It's planned, it's scripted, it's fake, some people say, but the blows are real, the bruises are real. So it was hugely inspirational. And then, not to get too pretentious, but almost like in a Greek theater setting, the archetypes these guys represent. You know, I loved a wrestler named the Boogeyman, and he was just archetypally nightmarish, you know? Even going back to it, it could be kind of cheesy sometimes, but it made me, I don't know, it's like, they say when you're a teenager, things imprint on your brain more than they ever do later in life. When I listen to those old WWE clips, or this guy Sabu, who just passed away this past year, his entrance theme. We were watching Kevin Nash backstage today. Yep. I showed you a Kevin Nash entrance video because he did Magic Mike with Kevin Nash. They're all being sexy men. And Kevin was in there. I said to Matthew, what was it like working with Kevin, you know? And no, WWE, professional wrestling, WWE has been hugely influential to me. And I feel like what I love with Marty Supreme, and I'm sorry that I'm rambling, with Matthew's work as a whole with WWE, and you see this with like Bad Bunny tapping in or I Show Speed and stuff like that. I just feel like it's of the people, no matter how cheesy that sounds, you know? And New York is sort of like a weird spot on the map of the world, or America, because New York, you can get the highest of the high and the lowest of the low. And WWE is more like an Americana thing, you know? But New York's got a lot of love for WWE, you know? I went to Survivor Series when I was like 14, 15 years old. I was walking to Madison Square Garden. I got one ticket alone from just me. And I heard Booker T's theme song, and it was like a New York crowd, man. It was like rough around the edges. It wasn't like a NASCAR crowd per se, you know? And said respectfully, University of Texas, you know, no one ether me at this chair. But no, I love the framing of that question too, because at risk of repeating myself, professional wrestling, all it's represented is deeply archetypal storytelling. It's War of the Worlds, and it's not told in a pretentious manner. It's not about cinematic shots or whatever, but it gets to a core thing, man, and it's populist, it's of the people. There's nothing like WWE, man. The entrance, they should pay me for saying this. The entrance themes, the vibe in there. I love that you asked that question. I did not expect you to ask that at all, man. That's awesome. Let's go to WWE. We'll go to
What's your
WrestleMania
wrestling name?
Well, what my
What's your
wrestling name be? Like the French Fool?
The French Fool. I've got a question.
I'm Laura Alcantara, and I'm a freshman studying theater and dance here at UT. This is a question for both Timothée Chalamet and Matthew McConaughey. Mr. Chalamet and Mr. McConaughey, you both have been in part of the film industry for numerous years and have seen it change throughout the years. How do you think the film industry will change with the rise of new technologies such as AI? What steps do you think will be taken to ensure that artificial intelligence doesn't replace creatives, but is rather used as a helpful tool?
Wow, that's a great question.
Yeah. And we kick that off. So, first off, it's coming. It's already here. Don't deny it. Don't just creative world. It's not enough. It may be for you, but it's not going to be enough to sit on the sidelines and make the moral plea that no, this is wrong. It's not going to last. There's too much money to be made, and it's too productive. It's here. All right. So I say, get your own yourself, voice, likeness, etc. Trademark it, whatever you got to do.
That's how you did that.
Yeah. Own yourself. So when it comes, not if it comes, no one can steal you. They got to come to you and go, oh, Timothy, I'd like you to be at my 50th birthday party in 5 months, and I'm going to be in the Bahamas. I know you can't be there in person, but I'm going to halo you in, and I want you, and I want you though I want you as your character, Marty Supreme. And actually, the second half of the party, I want you to be the French Fool, and they can do that, but they're going to have to come to you to go, can I? Or they're going to be in breach, and you'll have the chance to be your own agency and go, yeah, for this amount, or no. Okay? It's coming. Is it going to be another category, or is it going to infiltrate our category? It's damn sure going to infiltrate our category. I think it'll end up, does it become another category? Will we be in 5 years having films, the best AI film, the best AI actor? Maybe. I think that might be the thing, is that becomes another category. I'm not sure. It's going to be in front of us in ways that we don't even see it. It's going to get so good, we're not going to know the difference. That's one of the big questions of what we're doing right now, is the question of reality. It's more hazy than ever. In a very exciting way, I think, but also a scary way. It's not only coming, it's here. I say prep for it and own your own lane, so when it comes, you can at least have your own agency when it starts to trespass.
That's great. That, I think it's going to be all of our war to wage. Sounds confrontational. I don't mean to say it like that, but it's a dual responsibility. Unfortunately for your guys' generation, I think it's going to be you guys that figure out how to integrate it. There's a huge part of people that are in positions of power now, like myself, like Matthew, to safekeep that doors stay open. That's extremely important. Some of the roles I got that helped kickstart my career, I wouldn't even know if they're available today. Not because of AI, but because of less TV being produced, less streaming being produced. And yet, there's a level of fatalism I feel too, where I'm like, okay, this thing's coming. So it will be on your generation and mine to an extent to know how to some extent ethically integrate it, if at all, or do away with it. But the fatalist in me feels like this stuff is coming, you know? And the dreamer in me wants to go, hey, if it enables a 19-year-old to produce something they couldn't otherwise because there's gatekeepers standing in the way, then, but ultimately, it's not my place to say. And I think you even saw, if you want to get on a really technical level, in the last Screen Actors Guild negotiation that Fran Drescher tried to head off with the studios. And it was a dicey, they didn't really get the protections for the Screen Actors Guild that she was after, you know? And it's a hard thing to advocate against. It'd be like, you know, in black and white, when silent movies went to black and white with sound. If everyone said, no, sound is fucked up in the movie, we can't do that. Or if black and white went to colors, and no, color's fucked up. So that would be their quote unquote argument, because I'm on the side of artists, right? And now, as I said, I want to keep the doors open for you guys. But then someone's gonna figure it out, you know, how to do it all at once, is my belief. But that was the most serious question I feel like that was asked today, because it's like, that's the thing, you know? And I'm fiercely protective of actors and artists, artisans, you know, in this industry. And equally, to my point about opera and ballet and stuff, it's like whatever tide is coming is coming. Roll Tide! No, I'm kidding. No. I'm kidding. Damn, that got no love here. Wow.
That ain't gonna get
That's not gonna get love here.
No.
Man. Anyway, that was a great question, man. And TBC, like,
Yeah.
in 5 years and 10 years, we'll know where that's going.
Yeah. Hey, let's check out a clip of yours from Dune. This is a speech to the Fremen, where Paul addresses the gathered Fremen and assumes the mantle as their Messiah, Muad'Dib.
Eruditina Heshidani Melissan Al-Gai Rui di Menaruk Ashidi Melissan Al-Gai.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. A sort of very mythical, religious and biblical story. One where you have a generic heritage to destroy, then rise from the dead and walk among your people or through your people, and then take back your father's name as the voice from the outer world and swear to lead them all to paradise. Messiah?
Oh, yeah.
Or false prophet, Muad'Dib. Yeah.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Say a little bit of both.
It's so when you're working something like this, Interstellar to a different extent, because that's still sort of based in a modern reality. But if you go into the mythos of future world creation like this, do you find, or do you approach it as an actor with more freedom of choice? In the way that you were explaining WWE, the mythos of it. It's a heightened reality. Or are you playing, hey, no, this is an old myth, the dark and the light, the false prophet. It's been around since before the Bible. What are you playing the realities given to you, or are you heightening them because you're going, oh, this is in the future, I have license?
No, there is something heightened. I think on the second and third one, I took more liberty than ever. I can't wait for you guys to see this third one. This is like, I'm so proud of it. We finished it last summer. You know, watching Oscar Isaac on the first movie, he was terrific in Frankenstein this year too. He treated it in a Shakespearean way. I was so impressed with him on set. That is to say, like you said, play it heightened and not really, you know, care about it being heightened, you know. I think on the second movie and the third movie, though, I found a certain freedom of choice within it. I think at first, maybe in a way on Interstellar, like you said, it's more grounded. I felt kind of thrown by the futurism, and, you know, I was coming off Beautiful Boy and Call Me By Your Name, and movies that were a lot more naturalistic, you know, and all of a sudden this was a different setting. Also, it was a huge movie, so I felt intimidated, you know. And then I feel like, especially on this third one, all the great shit you see on screen is from freedom of movement and freedom of choice, you know. And with Denis, I finally, not finally, but we really had a good rhythm on the second and third one. But especially on the third one, I felt like, you know, we really had a great thing going. I can't wait for this third one. It's the eeriest one.
It is?
It's a big swing.
Okay. Well, this one,
yeah,
Dune 2, we were talking earlier about minimal movement, what can be done without even dialogue, or, hey, take front spotlight, you know? You have quite a few minimal and very patient choices. You listen a lot. Small moves, but strong moves. So when Moody does rise up like this here in this scene, whoa, it creates a massive dynamic. In another way, it's that thing that Paul Newman used to say, hey, man, got that $1 million smile? Only give it to him 3 times. And if you do it all the time, it's like you're subdued and you're listening. And then, boy, when you come alive and you come forward in this, it's as a viewer, you're backed up because you pick your spots. First time to raise your voice is when I think you're on the side in the background. You go, no, she's not a fool, or whatever, what she's saying. You go, whoa. First, you make a stance. Was that a choice?
I think it was nature of the script, honestly. But I love that you said it like that. That's why that scene was my favorite one to shoot in the second movie, because I felt like it was coming of age almost artistically. But, you know, Denis is Jean-Marc Vallée, contemporary. They're both French-Canadian, great filmmakers. And I think there's a humility you feel on set with them. You know, you are a color in their painting, but in the best way. You know, the Dune films maybe the films I'm most proud of, you know, especially where this third one's going to land. But what I think you see at the end of the second one, and I think across the third one, as you see with yourself in Interstellar and Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight and Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now, stuff like that. Actually, wait, let me rephrase all of that. Hold up. I cannot put myself in the same boat. I don't know how to rephrase that.
Carry on.
Let's just say, you know, it's these big movies where you could sneak in something, a curveball, you know? I wonder, sometimes, because Dallas Buyers Club and True Detective and Interstellar, it's like, the bat was red hot, you know? And I felt like that coming into this off of Marty Supreme and A Complete Unknown. I'm talking about the third part now, where it was like, I didn't want to be complacent about a single moment. Everything was sacred, you know? And it was my last time doing a Dune film, you know? So I really wanted to treat it as sacred as, you know, because people can get complacent. I don't know if people felt like that on the third Chris Nolan, the Batman movie, but not that people were feeling this on Dune. People thought, oh, the first 2 worked, blah, 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 and, you know. But I had the opposite. I think I was more intense on the third one than the first 2, yeah.
Right on. Rather than, hey, we know what works. Let's turn those up a couple notches and just do that again.
Yeah, I felt like that was
which happens in
the natural momentum a little bit. Not from Denis, but from also because these things take a long time. So I wanted to push against that as hard as I could. Yes, sir.
Cool.
How we doing?
You're doing good, man. Let's do some more audience questions.
Come on, let's do it. Let's do it.
What you got, sir?
Hey, hi, Matthew. Hi, Timothy. My name is Presley, and I'm a senior radio, television, film major here at UT. I just want to say thank y'all guys for doing this so much. It's amazing to meet 2 of my idols. So
you're welcome.
To be here.
Man.
Right on.
My question, though, is for you, Timmy. Your recent collaboration with SD Kid was a massive, iconic moment across social media, and we really got to see you spit some bars. So I want to know, do you plan on making a return to rap music or extending your discography anytime soon?
First of all,
yes.
First of all, I have no clue what you're talking about. Okay.
Sure.
And second of all, no, man. I mean, not particularly. I think when I've worked, even on the Dylan movie, on A Complete Unknown, I don't know if you felt like this with your peers. I think it's so easy to think, oh, these things are like each other. That is to say, like working in film or working in music. And, you know, Frank Ocean is a gift from God. Like Justin Bieber is a gift from God. Like their voices are heavenly, you know. And I think Matthew is a gift from God on screen, you know. And those things rarely, not rarely, I don't want to say that, but like it's hard to see them. So I've always had total humility at the idea of like doing a music thing. And I would never want it to be a vanity project. You know, you're making a thing and all your friends are like, this is amazing. And you put it out and everyone shits on it, you know. That would be my big fear. That's my answer.
Hi. What's our next question? Hello.
Hi, I'm Alexi Hames. I'm a junior studying radio, television, film at UT. And I have a question for both Matthew and Timothy. If you could go back in time, what would you tell your younger self?
Yeah. 2 things. I know that you want to be older because in your mind it's cooler. That's cool, but don't rush. It'll come. and I know you love risk, and you take them. Take more. Yep.
Whoa. That's a tough one to follow. Mine's way cheesier than that. It would just be to soak in the moments more, enjoy them, as Matthew said, no rush. On a practical level, make choices that are comforting to your soul and your spirit, and that you know how to do that. I don't have a good answer. Yours is way better. It's hard to say because I would tell him, don't change anything, man. It went great. It went great. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it here. Thank you to the students and to the University of Texas for hosting us. And thank you to my good friend. Really good to hang with you again, sir,
fun,
Mr. Timothée Chalamet.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Matthew.
You are welcome, man.
Thank you. Come on, baby. Come on, baby.